Hey folks, it's Brian. We got to play RQG last night. Yeah. Um, Interesting. I knew we were going to eventually hit. Well, I figured we would hit the chaos spot more quickly than we actually did. But yeah, right. Oh, and the scenario I'm running is Darkness at Runegate. So spoilers if you're gonna, ever run that at a convention or play in that in a convention or something. But anyway, the party is outside of the healer's hut, trying to decide what to do. And when I shot out an email earlier this week to my players, reminding them, game Friday night, and a little setup on, this is where we left off. A couple of them started uh, emailing back and forth about, what should we do? Is she real? And we should just kill her. And we can't kill her. We don't know if she's guilty of anything. And that guy said, "Oh, this guy cool." And then there's a lot of discussion like that when the play started. I had one of my players was in Ohio, was not able to make it. Another one had some business meetings, so was running late. And eventually, the conversation started bending more directly towards the game. At first, it was just kind of back and forth with other stuff and the game and other stuff. And so I didn't record any of that. Once I saw, okay, we are heading down where we need to start making decisions and stuff, I hit record. So we're in the middle of a conversation when the live play, which is in the description, starts. So they decide that they're going to go back to Runegate to go to the Lightbringer's Temple to look for a healing spirit. And then they can then use one, I'm assuming, to heal the players that have diseases. And there was something else they were talking about doing with that. Maybe healing other people. But anyway, so they head back to Runegate, pound on the gates because it's after dark. People lock gates in a gated city after dark. But they've got the tokens, and the guards know about these guys, so they let them in. They head towards the city square, which is a triangle. Go to the Lightbringer's Temple, and it has been all cleaned up. And Jarstakos goes off to the Orlanth Shrine, and David goes off to Lampramai Shrine, and Miriam is looking for a healing spirit, and Arestra is looking to the center of the square to see, is there a guard still there? Is the totem still there? And that kind of stuff. And there is. He's got a lantern there, and he's just kind of, keeping guard. Interestingly, they were not able to find any spirits in the temple. I'm attributing that to the desecration that occurred with the murder of the Sharlana Arroy priestess. And of course, well, not of course, but I was thinking that since she's not there, any healing spirits would have left as well. That's what I was thinking. I made it a luck roll for the player, and it wasn't made, so yeah, nobody's here. I could have made the luck roll easier, I think. I have a tendency to go for medium, right? You have easy, something, medium, hard, extreme, 1 through 5, right? Times 5 is easy, not regular. Times 3 is regular. So I have a tendency to throw that out a lot. So I only, an average person, 10 power, and I have a 30% chance of luck. But that's a 30% chance. That's 1 out of every 3. That's not bad. But okay, no spirits. Oh, there's kind of real. That doesn't seem real. Well, yeah, it is kind of unusual. It's probably this desecration deal. So then they head over to the meeting hall to meet with, they'll try to find Severos. and discuss what to do next. Oh, I forgot. As after their little discussion, I got back to the road, and I started heading towards Runegate. Jarstakos made a special listen roll, so he's hearing something behind me. He turns around and goes, "I hear something out there," and Davin, wrong universe. Davin made a critical scan, so he sees a couple dozen people coming from the location of Horsetown back towards the hut where they were. So they're going, what's going on? Miriam uses her second sight. All these people have disease spirits. What? Disease spirits have diseases. Yeah, that's where I blew it. All the people had diseases, not necessarily possessed by disease spirits. I'll need to clarify that for the party next time. And they're headed to, and it's obviously in some of those sections, some being helped, that kind of thing. So the party's thinking that they're all going to the hut to, be healed. But they decided to go to the Temple of Healing Spirit anyway. So they get to the meeting hall, and they're rap guard answers the door. Yes, what's going on? Here's our staples. Here's our thing. Yeah, okay, come on in. And so our staples. Here's Severos. So Severos is there with the two Humakti, brother and sister, D names, and they're just sitting there chatting, talking about things. There's a couple other guards there. They come up and nobody says anything. David steps forward and says, "Hey, this is what we found. This is what we think we should do." The party wants Severos to get together a bunch of his guards and go out and check on this lady, right? They don't do it themselves. The party's supposed to do things, so okay, if that's what we want to do. Severos is hell bent to end this thing. And there's a couple of comments in the scenario description about his reaction to certain things that I wasn't looking for at that point. But later on, I was looking for it, and I found it. Well, okay, this is how he's going to react. But he should have reacted that way a little more here. But they decide, okay, lead us out there. Let's go. So he gathers his two Humak, and he tells one of the guards to, wake a shift of guards or whatever. I ended up being like 4, I think it was. So there's 4 plus Severos plus the two Humaktis. That's 7 plus the party. And the scenario is not designed for that, right? So anyway, they go out, get to the hut. By this point, kind of time because they had to get out of town before nightfall. Because at nightfall, why are you going out? Oh, we're just gonna go home. I know you live here in town, right? So yeah, people have to get out of town before nightfall if they're going to do this suspicious stuff. So they get out, get to the hut. By this point, it's almost midnight, and I was trying to figure out this whole timeline thing, right? With parties even here, the healing ceremony is supposed to happen at midnight, but it's nightfall's at 5. I mean, gotta get out of town by 5, right? Or at 5-ish, and that's 7 hours till midnight. What are people gonna be doing? Well, I know what the common folk are doing, right? They're all hiding out, biding their time, waiting to go. But what's the party supposed to do for all this time? Well, thankfully, we went back to Runegate, spent time doing their stuff, and there's just travel time back and forth and back and forth. Scenario does say it takes about 3 hours without a guide, to walk in the darkness out to the place, right? So it doesn't really talk about it, but a wagon has been going back and forth to the spot. So there's a trail. Um, so the party and several of his guys, they get to the hut, rap, open the maroon gate, no answer, kick open the door, nobody's there. This is a one-room house, right? There's a fireplace, there's a straw mat, there's a table, a couple chairs, a, a front door, and there is a back door. So while the party searches through the hut, um, a restaurant, sorry, a restaurant goes to the back door. Okay, restaurant, you go to the back door, make a scan roll, it's dark. She sees a path, and it seems to be coming from the front of the house, kind of thing. Good to go. Everybody inside's looking around. There's herbs hanging up there. What, you didn't mention about herbs? And so David's player is thinking these things are poisonous, and we need to find out. So they investigate the herbs. There's some common stuff there, normal, regular herbs. But there's some stuff that they don't recognize. People are rolling plant lore. David's rolling alchemy. None of them make it. Davin says, "Hey, does anybody recognize any of this stuff?" And start pointing out common things that everybody knows. And Jarstakos goes to pull some down that he wanted to take, to have investigated. I think it was some of the stuff they didn't recognize. And Severos actually made his plant lore roll on that. He goes, "Hey, you don't want to mess with that stuff. That can make you sick." Now, while the party's discussing things, there's kind of a lull because I'm looking through the weapons and equipment book because I know there's a section on plants there to see if there's anything about poison. The only poisonous plant in the thing is some kind of moonflower thing, which lunars actually do something to make a potion that's not. Well, that's it. Okay, well, I know I've got from Adventures of Middle Earth a lot of different kind of herb things, right? And it was kind of interesting that in the book, weapons and equipment, all the plants they mentioned seem to tie back to some kind of spell effect. That was interesting. Instead of just a physical effect. I have to look for them more. Plus, I got other stuff. So anyway, there's this unnamed herb that can make you sick, and but Severus doesn't know if it can be used for anything else. And lots of things. When you think about it, anything that can be treated for something, if you take it in excess, is going to be poisonous, right? Even vitamin A. If you eat too much dog meat, it's going to destroy your liver and you're going to die. If you eat too many apple seeds, you're going to die from what is it? Arsenic poisoning. But sometimes you got to eat a lot of stuff. Anyway, so they'll take into consideration. The restaurant says, "Hey, there's a path out here, so we go back. They see the path. It's wide enough for a track. Somebody made a special. Well, yeah, special. I think even a critical on their scan and search stuff. So okay, yeah, there are actually some minor ruts here. So a wagon or a cart has been going back and forth, maybe a dozen times in the past month or so. And in fact, a bunch of folks have been walking this path recently. So asking, okay, were people going into the woods or they're coming out of the woods? You can't really tell that because it's not like muddy and you got a shape of a foot, right? It's just, you can tell there's been traffic recent. So say, okay, let's follow. So they're following, and then there's a whole discussion about getting the fetch out and having the fetch go forward because, the fetch can't be seen and it can lock onto people's spirits and stuff like that. But, well, then I started looking some stuff up. So there's lots of not dull spots, but quiet spots in the live play where I'm looking stuff up. Hopefully the party's talking in the background. But anyway, now a spirit on the spirit plane can see spirits within 10 meters times their power in distance, right? That's their sensing range. And I've been, since we all got this actual shaman now, my perception of the spirit world and the middle world, the spirit world mimics the middle world, right? Because spirits go back and forth between the two, right? But it's not exact, and it's not like I'm on a spirit plane walking down this path or down this road, right? And I can see the city and stuff. Yeah, it's not what it's like. Um, but if you're in the material world and you see some folks up ahead, okay, just corporate, I can still see the spirits, so I follow the spirits. You know, that could work. But yeah, the fetch would not have been able to see these people at this point because they were long gone. Yeah. But okay, expand the visibility so he can manifest, so he can see, orient himself in the real world, like orienting the map, and then go to the spirit plane and follow along kind of thing. But yeah, that wouldn't have worked. But anyway, so they send this fetch out as a scout. Oh, maybe they didn't. So they're following the path, and eventually get to the point where they can see where the trees are starting to thin out a bit, and they can see a fire ahead. At that point, they pull up the fetch. That's what it was. They pull up the fetch. Fetch can see the fire, right, in the middle world. So they would have been within range for seeing spirits. Maybe. It's 110 meters. That's a long ways. No, well, it maintained on the middle of the limit, right? It's a ghostly spirit. It can hide really easy. So it goes forward, following the path. Okay, what does it see? That's what Miriam sees. And Miriam sent her owl out overhead. Owl circles around, comes back, says, "Many two legs, most are on the ground." It's an owl, right? So, and at that point, I made a little mini sketch on the map. So if you're watching the live play, you can see the map camera. He mentions that there's like a barricade, and there's somebody behind it. There's a cart and a guy on the cart. And then there are a half dozen or so other folks that are standing up. They're not laying down like all the rest of folks are. So Miriam's fetch gets there and starts looking around. Okay, people on the ground, diseased. I actually said possessed by these spirits because at the time I was still thinking they were, but in fact they were just diseased. Although there are the 5, but they came from Runegate that were with the party at one point that are there, so they've got diseased spirits. Whereas the others just have diseases. Interesting. I'm just digging that a little bit more. But anyway, but there's some kind of ceremony going on. Most people are laying down. Some are curled up in fetal positions. Some are just on all fours. Others are on their knees with their heads on their forearms, kind of thing. Bonfires going. Guy in the cart, kind of just watching over everything. The priestess is there. She's behind this barricade deal. And then there's like a dozen of these guards that are dancing around and kind of singing kind of thing, right? At that point, I probably should have told her they were Brew. She would have recognized that. That's Jarsteko. The party is talking about something, and Jarsteko says something about Malia, and at that, that's where I came across the part in the book, in the scenario about Severos being a little bit hot-headed. That Severos draws a sword, Malia, and takes off running down the pathway. The Lockheed right behind him, and then his guards follow too. And the rest party kind of goes, "Okay, we're going." So off they go too. So at that point, I dropped the big scale map, and I move Severos and his folks out, move a bunch of the brew in, move some other brew over, and no, the scenario is not designed for this many people. So I had to, invent. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 more brew. How am I going to handle RuneQuest combat with 8 and 7? That's 13 plus the players plus the actual brew. No way. So I pretty much decided I'm going to roll dice for all the guards and all the brew. But I'm just looking for, a special or critical, what's the location, and make an effect kind of thing. I'm not tracking hit points or anything like that with what's going on with the non-player NPCs and the non-player players, right? So the party gets there. Arista casts Befuddle on the priestess and moves forward. David moves forward to support Sevros and casts Hinder. Hinder is not a RuneQuest Glorantha spell. And Miriam, when her fetch got to the chaos spot, which is where the drop of blood from the crimson bats fell, killed everything. Well, the place is also full of brew stench. So there's urine and feces and wet fur and decaying bodies, right, in this place. So this miasma is there that you gotta fight against to keep going normally. Well, when we were discussing can the fetch can obviously see things because the fetch hear things. That's where the whole singing, dancing kind of stuff come on. Well, if he can see here, it can smell, and he fumbled his Constitution -5 roll like she did, right? So the fetch drops the ground. Miriam drops to the ground. She's at -40 for everything. Oh my goodness. Also, back to the chaos spot. So Miriam has managed to catch up with the party, so she's just hiding behind a tree, just laying there. Oh. And of course, her fetch is with her. But she's given direction to the owl to cast vigor on everyone. Now, I had remembered that the body enhancing spells, coordination, vigor, and strength were all non-compatible. So you didn't have all this stacking, right, where you come out superhuman. But in the book, it's not written that way. Coordination doesn't conflict with anything. It's only strength and vigor that conflict. I'm thinking to myself, why would it just be strength and vigor? It should be either all three or none. My personal opinion should be none, right? Does it really matter if your strength is increased? So you can't increase your constitution, but you can increase your dexterity. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But anyway, rules are written, so that's what we're dealing with. Now, after this scenario is over, okay, guys, coordination is not stacked with strength or vigor, or they can all stack together. And I'll discuss with the party what they want to have happen. I'm good with either way. So anyway, so the owl is flying around trying to cast vigor on everyone. It's successful eventually on Arestra, and was successful on Daven, and that's where the question came out, because Daven is not a strong fighter, but he's got the strength spell. And so everybody knows that he casts strength on himself when it comes to combat with everybody. The people who have been with him, plus they've had discussions and stuff. This is how I fight. I do it. Like the party had that kind of discussion earlier in the scenario. I don't know if it's caught on my play or not. And then was able to hit Sevros. Right? Okay, so we're in the strike ranks, and I'm trying to track 20 odd folks. Plus the players tracking their stuff and save the Fatanas we're doing, right? So Arrestor moves in to help support Sevros doing some fighting, and then a bunch of brew circle one of the guards by her and her. Jarstakos moves up to a spot between a couple of between the guard and one of Humakti, engages a brew there. Jarstakos, David, Restra. Oh, that's right, because my other player wasn't there, so he's like in the background. Right? So fighting ensues, right? Dice rolling, dice rolling, dice rolling. Like I mentioned, when it comes to the non-party NPCs and the non-party brew, I just roll. Just looking for a special or critical and have an effect. So I had one guard go down already. Did I? Or just one brew? Looks like just one brew. A card went down as well. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. One should have gone down. Let's see where it is. But anyway, so we went through like 3 rounds of combat. Before we hit midnight, I had to take a bio break really bad, and one of my players was asleep in his chair. So, yeah. And we're not going to be able to play until maybe the 15th, but that's Good Friday, so folks may not be available for that. So it'll probably be 4 weeks, because in 2 weeks is Chaosium Con, and I and at least one of the other players will be there, not here. Happy gaming.